Question is that the motion be agreed to. David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and the Labor Party will be supporting this bill as well. I think pretty much everything that the Minister has just spoken on we would very much agree with, wholeheartedly in fact. We are about to commence more formal discussions with the EU about a free trade agreement. It's been obviously complicated by Britain exiting from the EU. Britain has been traditionally one of the main ways in which we have entered the EU, and now it's obviously, as we all know, going by itself. So we've got to work out ways of, or new ways of being able to get those talks off the ground again and get them moving. But one of the driving forces of getting this bill into force, sir, from 2006, as the Minister said, it's been sitting on the it's been sitting there since 2006, never actually pushed start to get it underway because the talks with the EU had stalled. Now we're in a different situation. It's felt necessary to push this bill along, get it through the House, get it enacted, to ensure that we get the sort of protections and privileges and ability to get that trade deal ultimately across the line. So the EU, by the way, just to give the dimensions, it's the largest trading bloc in the world, the biggest market in the world, with more than 500 affluent consumers. And we currently, it's our third largest market, with about $19 billion in two-way trade. About $9 billion of that is exports, and about $11 billion is imports. So it is a significant and important partner with us, and it is a partner with which we do not have at the moment a trade agreement. So one of the issues of this bill is essentially to designate areas of New Zealand with regards to wine as areas, and define them as an area which can't be replicated in other places. And we have obviously we have the example of Champagne in France that can only produce champagne. Outside of Champagne, you produce sparkling wine. Scotch whisky is another example. Just recently, the Greek government won a case that only Greece can make feta cheese. Everybody else has to make white cheese. So if you're buying feta cheese, you're getting it from Greece. If you're not buying feta cheese, if you're buying white cheese, it's from somewhere else, unless somebody's claiming falsely that it's feta cheese. But what it means for us, sir, is that Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc can only be produced in New Zealand, and it can be labelled Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, and nobody else can do that. Likewise with Otago Pinot Noir, it can only be done in New Zealand. Now that has considerable benefits for New Zealand, because as the Minister said, our wine attracts a very high premium. In fact, the premium that it attracts is higher pretty much than any other wine anywhere in the world. In fact, when they looked at this in the end of 2014, the New Zealand bottled grape wine was the highest of any imports in the United Kingdom. New Zealand wine was about $9.15 a litre, and that compared to the second place, France, at $7.36, and the Australian wine was a miserable $5.28. So we are getting very good prices for our wine, and it's very important as well that we are able to protect the value of those by ensuring that nobody else can use the same descriptions that we use. Likewise, we are obligated to make sure that 85% of the content of that wine will be wine that was produced in those particular places, and only 15% is allowed to be blended. That also safeguards our product and makes sure that our product is a good one. The Minister mentioned the wine industry. It's now $1.6 billion. It's grown 110% since 2008. I mean, this is an extraordinary success story for New Zealand. It's now, I think, the 6th largest export that we have, and it is on the way up. And by 2020, it's estimated that it will be worth $2 billion to the New Zealand economy. So these sorts of protections that are here are well worth getting into force soon, so that no other producer can come in before us and start claiming that their Sauvignon Blanc is Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, when in fact the only place that it can be grown and produced is in New Zealand. Sir, as also the Minister mentioned, there was a lot of support for this, for the bill. There were 133 different submissions. 130 of them were in support from winemakers and people in the wine industry in particular. The 3 dissenting, if you like, voices in that 133 actually wanted to go further and make sure that 100% of the wine that was produced in that area was from that area and not blended by 15%. So unanimous support for getting this bill into operation. And as the Minister said, it's relatively straightforward. The Primary Production Select Committee did a good job in making a few minor alterations in order that effectively the list or the inventory of the wines that are going to be listed down is slightly more easy to comprehend and understand and to use. And other than that, sir, it pretty much, with those minor amendments on the 2006 bill, it effectively puts the 2006 bill into operation. And as a result, I say it's a bit of a no-brainer. This is a good piece of legislation that will protect our industry, will enable us to get into Europe and to sell our wines in Europe at a high premium, continue to protect our wine industry from growing into the future. And, sir, the Labor Party, for those reasons, supports it wholeheartedly. Thank you.